Welcome to the Ricardo del California Show. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1. Today I'm with Jesse Newbold. Today's show is about life in Japan. What if you wanted to leave the country? Today, that's what we're going to talk about. And how would you go about that? To start off with, me and my buddy here, Jesse Newbold, is here on vacation from Japan, visiting family. And Jesse, you decided to leave the country. What caused you to kind of want to leave the United States and then, just live abroad kind of permanently?
Good question, Rich. And first, I want to say thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, sir.
It's a pleasure to be on the show. And yeah, we go back a long ways. And I think right around junior high school, I remember looking at a world map one day and, thinking, gosh, we've drawn all these borders here, but when you look at the Earth from space, there's not really any lines. And I always had this sense
True.
that I would be a global citizen. And that really opened up the possibilities of where and how I might live in the future. And so I spent a good 10 years in Hawaii,
Right.
going to school and university there, and did a fair amount of travel. And eventually, I found myself in Japan about 2005. I ended up there and decided to settle there permanently or semi-permanently. I still travel back and forth quite a bit. I think that desire to use Japan as a home base and live life as a global citizen is really gets to the crux of why and how I ended up there.
You know, it's interesting, Jesse. You said the word global citizen. A lot of us, we think of in the terms of the country that we live in, and we kind of have a microscopic life. We think of our town, our neighborhood, the Starbucks that I go to, and then we think, oh, I'm going to go on Expedia, price on whatever. I'm going to go ahead and take a vacation, right? And then we go visit a place, and that was nice, and then you come back, right? And you go back to your same life. I remember being in St. John in the Caribbean, the U.S. Caribbean, a few years ago, and I met a man who ran a restaurant. And I said, so how did you end up here? And I'm always curious about these people who become, I would in a sense, a perma vacationer. And he said he had a Porsche. He wore a suit to work, did the corporate thing, sold the Porsche, got rid of the suit, put on basically like a sea breeze island cotton button-up shirt, opened a restaurant, lived in a shack or a small little apartment up in the jungle, and that was his daily grind. And he never missed a beat and never went back to that life. But to be able to make a decision that I am literally going to leave everything I have, not in a sense you're not going to leave your family, and you are in a sense, but it's like you can always come back, but just it's a renewal. I'm going to resume my life in a completely different part of the world. Was that a difficult choice for you?
Uh, yes and no. I think today we have the benefit of technology that allows us to keep in touch a lot better than how it used to be when I first was doing a lot of these travels. The more you go around and meet people and explore new places, you realize that although there's a lot of differences on the surfaces,
Sure.
the language, the culture, the foods, deep down inside, I mean, humans are humans, and our similarities far outweigh the differences. So once you get past that kind of boundary of the language and the food and the culture, you really can connect with people and see that wherever you go, you're going to meet good people, and we all kind of have the similar values, care about our families, want a happy, healthy life, and so that does make it easy. But at the same time, initially, you have to learn to just set aside the practices and the traditions you've grown up with, and you have to start new. You have to start fresh. Learning a new language is very difficult, especially Japanese.
Totally different characters. Jesse actually teaches English in Japan. You started a whole new business.
That's right.
What's the name of your business, sir?
So we're Shonan International Service, and we send English teachers. We dispatch them to different schools in Japan, and we do our best to help the Japanese learn English so that they can participate in the global community. And we're on our 6th year now, and it's been a great experience. A lot of hard work involved, but it's also very rewarding.
And you're the CEO of the company.
That's right.
So here's a man, ladies and gentlemen, that has left the United States, gone to a new country, and goes there as a global citizen. And he goes there and you contribute by teaching the Japanese people English. And so you're giving to their community, you're participating, and you've created relationships. How long did it take for you to learn Japanese?
That's a good question, and it's a continuing process. Even now, after all these years, I'm still learning. But I'd say after the first year or two, you can usually get around with your daily life and shopping and directions and that kind of thing. Even 15, 20 years on, I'm still learning new things all the time. It's and that makes it exciting and interesting.
Sure. So yeah, learning a language is a continual process, and it took you how many years again?
I'd say 1 to 2 years to be able to function in the daily life, but it's an ongoing process. You're always learning new things. To be able to pick up a book and read and write, you're going to have to invest a significant amount of time to accomplish that. I think 5 years minimum.
Sure. Now, forgive me for my lack of knowledge for Japan, other than konnichiwa, which means how are you?
Hello. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
And sayonara, which is goodbye.
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 Yeah.
And I think that's my.
It's
I
okay.
think I used up my Japanese right there, but it's a good start.
Hey, you got a
foundation.
Arigato. Arigato.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Yeah.
3 for 3. Okay. So you go there and you learn the language. From English we read right to left, right? What is the direction of which they read in Japan?
It depends. You can go left to right, top to bottom, or right to left. The really difficult.
Sounds like we have more options.
Yeah. And they have actually 3 different alphabets. They use the kanji, which are the Chinese characters. They have a phonetic system called hiragana, and also hiragana. And then another one they use for foreign imported words called katakana. So katakana. Yeah, katakana. 3 different alphabets. It can be a challenge.
It's interesting because here in English, the vernacular of English, right? Of course, we're speaking in Americanized English. If you ever go to London or England, their English is a bit different. We have an Americanized English. And it's interesting, just nuances that you have, right? And so I remember when I was in England, they would tell me to go stand in the queue, and I'm like, what is he talking about? Stand in the line, mind the gap. You might hear that. Watch the space between the platform and the subway, or they call it the tube, right? And there's the bonnet, which is the front of the car, and there's the boot. And I was like going, what? It took me a while just within English. But in Japan, 3 different types of languages, reading it in a couple of different directions going on.
Yeah.
And, at least in England when I went there, not even close to apples here at all. It's like apples to maybe guava, or I don't know, maybe kale, because it's so different. But the fact that you've been able to have the flexibility, and I think that's one of the things that we've talked about. If you're going to go live in another culture, you have to be flexible. And I've always wanted to go to Japan. I got to come out and see you. At Fujisawa.
Yeah.
There will be another episode in years to come.
There's an open invitation for Rich to come visit.
I'm coming.
We may even be hiking Mount Fuji together in a couple
of
years here. So,
Fuji will be. We might do a few episodes down the road.
Yeah,
we'll probably dive. So one of the things that it's interesting is to try to be able to find all the signs. I think are in Japanese. Is there anything in English or no?
It's in English now. Let me touch about being flexible a little bit, which you kind of alluded to. It's really important, to set aside your beliefs and prejudices whenever you go to another country.
Sure.
To just really look at things with a fresh pair of eyes, and a lot of times you'll see the way that people do something completely different, and on first glance you might just say, "Oh, this is crazy. What are they doing?" But as you dive deeper and you really begin to understand the culture, you'll understand there's a reason and a logic behind it, and it makes sense. And they do have a very long and rich history, and some of the nuances and crazy things that I thought were oh my, what are they doing? Now that I've been there so long, I understand the rationale behind it. And so that's a really important point for if there's any viewers out there, you're thinking of going to another country, not only Japan but anywhere. Just take out all that programmed culture that you have and start fresh, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When you say programmed culture, what comes to mind to me is we're on our own program in the U.S., right? We have a way of which we do things. You go to another culture, they're on their own different system, right? When you went there and as an American and you're learning Japanese, what was the response from the people that you live? You're in Fujisawa. You started a life there, and then here they see you're this American, um,
Yeah.
and you're trying to learn Japanese. Were
Yeah.
they patient when you're trying to get the
Yeah.
words out?
Yeah. In general, I've been fortunate. The people I've met and the people around me have all been very patient and understanding and supportive. And you'll find that that's true almost anywhere you go. If you make an attempt to speak in the local language, if you make an attempt to understand their culture, that's immediately going to be respected, and you're going to get the support and the warm welcome that you should.
Absolutely, because they're seeing you're making an effort. So if you're thinking of learning another language and you want to use a Duolingo, it's just really interesting. There's one thing about going on Duolingo, and I fully support it because I'm trying to learn Spanish. The effort, anybody going to a different country or they're coming to the United States, they're happy that you're trying to learn about them and learning a language wherever you go. So if you feel hesitant, like I don't speak the language, there's a lot of people that live in our country that have taken years and they're bilingual. So more power to you if you want to go and you're like, I'm not sure, just learn it. But the best way to learn the language is to live in the country.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I was in Italy and I have family there in southern Italy. And I remember I knew some Italian, I knew some Spanish, and I knew some French. And somehow I mixed all these Romance languages. And I'm trying to talk to my cousin, and I had an English to Italian dictionary, and she had an Italian to English, and we made it work. And you know what? Through all those three languages, because they were similar, we had a good time. And her friends were really happy. A lot of them spoke English, that I was making an effort. So I really want to encourage you. We would want to encourage you if you want to live abroad. A couple things. Number one, life is short.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will have the mentality, one day I'll do that. But if you don't plan it, you don't do it. There are sacrifices that come because you're going to have to like change a job. You have to get some sort of permit to stay there, right? Yeah. Okay. Was that a bit of a process for you to get the permit to be a resident in Japan and start a business?
Yes. Yeah. Japan is a very bureaucratic nation. There's T's have to be crossed, I's have to be dotted. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork and rigorous, procedures that need to be followed in daily life there, and it can be frustrating. But I've had support from those around me and a lot of patience. Patience is very yeah.
Patience
it's
is the key.
Yeah.
Now, few things about Jesse that I'd like to share about. Number one, Jesse is a major surfing enthusiast. You surfed in how many countries?
Oh gosh, yeah. I grew up here, in San Diego, the beaches, Pacific Beach and La Jolla. I remember watching The Endless Summer as a kid, and I just said, "Wow, that's for me." So I think I've probably been in 30, 40 different countries,
surfing,
mostly on surf trips. Not all of them.
Dude, I'm way behind here.
I spent, I spent a significant amount of time in Bali.
You had a house there.
I did have a house in Bali. I built a house in Bali. That was another chapter of my life. Yeah. But lots of great waves, some memorable spots. Fiji, the Maldives, Sri Lanka, Nepal. Lot of travels, and surfing does that to you. It can take you to some really great out of the way places.
You're like the international man. The international surfing man right here. Okay. Now, have you run into any professional surfers out there?
Oh yeah. So when I was in Hawaii,
he has a story.
Yeah. No, I was in Hawaii 10 years plus, and that's kind of the mecca of the sport. And so you get up on the North Shore there, and you'll see all the pros and Kelly Slater and Sonny Garcia and all the big names. Yeah. I not on a personal level, but yeah, they're in the community, and you see them out in the water.
Okay, all right. So it's interesting. I scuba dive, and in season 1, you saw me do that in Key Largo, a snorkel, which we're actually going to do today.
That's right.
We're going to look for the sea turtle. We have sea turtles in San Diego. There will be an episode on sea turtles in San Diego, so check it out. Season 2, season 3. We'll figure that out. And I think I need to take up surfing. So if I do ocean swimming, scuba diving and snorkeling, I think I need to surf now.
You do. Yeah. But also, I the surfing's kind of taken a back seat. This because of the pandemic, I really became interested in sailing. What better way to self-isolate and to get away from it all than sailing? So,
I think we need to switch shirts because I'm in a sailing shirt.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
But that's been my new passion. I'd love to get you out on the water with me. And,
Yeah, dude, we gotta do it.
either here on the bay or maybe in Japan, Sagami Bay. That's I've been sailing there almost every Sunday, and that's been a real a fun and exciting. A lot of new things to learn, but also really a great way to pass the time as you get older. So I'd love to get you out on the water with me, Rich.
Dude, I gotta go to Japan. Got to scuba dive out there. Maybe we'll head up to Okinawa.
That sounds good.
My brother-in-law lives in Okinawa, so
Oh, okay.
we'll see you out there, brother. So here's the deal. As we're kind of wrapping up today, and Jesse, it's just a pleasure to have you on the show. He's only here for a short amount of time. So a couple of key points that I think I'm going to take away and add on to it. You go to another culture, be willing to learn a language. Be willing to be flexible, number two. Learn their program. Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And you were talking earlier about the sense of kind of like wanderlust or adventure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If somebody was to go to Japan, and this is very broad because it is a large country and there's so much to do, where would you say would be the top 3 to 5 things you'd have to do in Japan? I know that's hard, man, but maybe Jesse's version. But what would you think?
Well, yeah, of course it depends on what your interests are, but obviously the major, tourist spots, Kamakura, where you can see the temples and shrines and these beautiful gardens.
See the religious aspects.
Yeah,
of the spiritual center of Japan.
Yeah, that's a must visit and a must see. It's really unique, but along with that, I think a lot of people don't realize that there is a lot of just natural beauty in the island chain there. There's 4 main islands up on the north in Hokkaido. You can see some beautiful open spaces, some mountains, all ice flows, lots of really great nature.
A lot of topography.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd say, and all the way down south, as you mentioned, Okinawa or Kyushu, some of these southern islands, you have these beautiful reefs. A couple years ago, I had an opportunity to go diving and see the manta rays, which is an incredible experience.
So,
yeah, that's down in Ishigaki Island.
Wait, let me get it. Ishigaki Island.
You got it.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. So and then just getting in there and meeting the people and trying the foods. Japan has a lot of great delicacies and delicious foods.
A lot of great seafood.
So of course, the sushi and seafood. So yeah, there's no shortage of things to do in Japan. Definitely.
And I love that sushi. So you could say today to our guest in Japanese, thank you for watching the Ricardo del California show.
皆さん見てくれてありがとうございました。また今度よろしくお願いします。
The Ricardo del California show. And we will see you real soon. How do we say goodbye?
Sayonara.
Sayonara. Well, hello again. This is Ricardo del California. Thank you so much for watching my show. It means so much to me. If you like what you saw today, please subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.